Welcome to the show, folks. Jason Bible, Robert Orfino, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. So we are talking today about real estate stuff. Anyway, so I was talking about commitment. We want to talk a little bit about Tesla. We can do that. But I think it's, over the last couple of weeks, I've had some fascinating conversations with some investors. And what?
I know where this came from. Go ahead.
Okay. So the fascinating, in fact, we even talked about it today in our meeting. It's like, are you committed to this or not? It's really simple. Like, are we going to do this deal or not? If we're not, fine, move on to the next one. But at some point, you're going to have to make a commitment. You're going to have to say, yeah, we're going to do this.
Yep.
And I firmly believe that the vast majority of folks that are not successful in most endeavors in their life is because they don't take a serious commitment. Because once you make the commitment, then you do the work. The work is the result of a mental point of origin that says, I'm doing this.
Well, that's the burn the boat stuff, right?
Yeah, I don't think you necessarily have to get that extreme, but I think you have to say, okay, I'm making this a priority. I'll give you a great example. So yesterday, really didn't feel like going to the gym. Guess what? Got out of bed, went to the gym, right? Because I sat down and said, we've made a commitment to do this, so let's go do it, right? Got to the gym and I kind of tweaked something. I think I'll be back on Wednesday. But regardless, I was there, got in about half a workout, and then was like, all right, let's avoid injury here. We can come back the next day. We don't have to we don't have to rep it out like a beast, right? And we're not
50% on the field is better than 0% and not on the field.
That's right. Well, and yeah, you can be 100% on the field this week, but if you're out the next 3 weeks,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. So who really makes a commitment to say, yes, we're going to do this?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest challenges I see with real estate investors is, and this is the form in which it takes. You'll see this. Well, Jason, single family is getting too hard, so I'm going to go to multifamily. Or there's less competitors in storage or ground up, so I'm going to go do that. And I see that happen all the time in this business.
Sure.
Instead of just committing, saying, all right, let's go do this. And then I started talking about Jim Rohn. So Jim Rohn will tell you that the secret to life is growth. And then he also says, but you can't grow without a challenge. But you can't be willing to conquer that challenge unless you've made a commitment to do it.
Agreed.
So it really all starts with that. We're making a commitment. We're following through on that commitment. And I think what's fascinating for most folks is you really don't know how committed they are until things start to get a little rough.
Yeah.
Like it's really easy to say.
Oh, boy.
Everybody.
I could give you a couple hours on this.
Oh, yeah. So, you could with all the former partners, right?
Yep.
It's the old saying is everybody's a Navy SEAL on Friday. So if you guys are familiar with how SEAL training works, when they're going through pre-BUDS and BUDS, which is basic underwater demolition, they're doing SEAL stuff. Like it's hardcore. If you guys see them lift the log and the boats and all that nonsense, that's BUDS, right? There's a bell that you ring when you're ready to quit. Mm-hmm. And the saying goes, everybody's a SEAL on Friday, meaning if it's Thursday, Friday, you can make it through Friday, right? But Monday, Tuesday's a tough day because you got a whole week of absolute hell ahead of you.
Gotcha.
But you don't know if you're really committed until you're going through the stuff. And nothing is going to be perfect at Peachy Keen. So when we look at the things that we've done this year, granted coronavirus has been helpful and a hindrance at the same time.
Sure.
Could we have raised more money when we had events? Could we do a beautiful grand opening for this building? I mean, absolutely, right?
Yeah, it would have been great.
But there's some realities there that you just have to embrace and keep moving on. Mm-hmm. Or you don't and quit, and then you never really grow. That was the whole point of the post today.
I think a lot of folks have I hate to keep coming back to the mastermind because it sounds like I'm pitching, but being inside that group or having that network of friends that you could just bounce things off of, and you get that phone call, it's like, hey, I'm thinking about this, this, and this. I'm like, okay, if you don't want it, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Right? How many times have we said that to people in the last 2 years?
Right.
Which motivated their ass to go and get stuff, right?
Right.
So I think again, I think a lot of it is people inside their own heads without a good network.
It's I believe that. I also believe that what I see a lot of is, well, Jason, I've done a deal like this in the past, or I had a friend that did X, Y, and Z, and then it didn't work out.
Right.
And I'm like, well, why didn't it work? Like, I don't mind going through that rabbit hole. Like, tell me why that one deal you did that blew up in your face. And we have, in our mastermind, we got a bunch of deals that when they came to us, they said, let me tell you about a deal that exploded on me, right?
Yep.
And it's like, okay, well, how do we manage that risk going forward? Because I can tell you that doesn't happen on every deal, right?
Not at all. And that's part of the problem is that we're focusing on the negative.
Right.
We're so focused on my buddy, lost all his money, and you don't even know the details. You can't even answer the questions you're going to ask.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, so tell me, what did he buy? Where did he buy it? What happened? How did they vet the tenant? And they're like, oh, I don't know. These are all really good questions I didn't ask. I'm like,
right.
Okay, so now we're getting somewhere, right?
One of my lines I used to say was, you go to the guru and the guru chasing the squirrel and a new shiny thing and blah, blah, blah. And then you quit and that's not it. And then you go ahead and discourage all your friends from ever trying to do real estate.
That's right.
And that's what happens to a lot of people. Well, man, I was in that room. That guy told me about this deal so I don't ever want to buy in Richmond again.
That's right.
You're like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah, like what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's a bad block. And I was like, the whole town is bad? What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's terrible or what?
Yeah.
What exactly happened here?
So people just get caught up in their own nonsense.
Yeah.
And having some people around you that just kicks your butt and tells you to go that way is critical, right?
Yeah. It's not like you said, what ends up happening is you begin to focus on the negative and then you allow those thoughts to kind of control your mindset about what's going on. Is it that, I've not heard from the contractor in 2 days.
Right.
Are they really working on my job? I need to be out at the job site every day. What is going on?
Stole my money.
Yeah, they stole my money. You hear that all the time. It's like, well, Jason, the contractor's not here today. I'm like, I don't know. What stage are you on?
All right.
Well, we're waiting for the foundation guy. I'm like, yeah, they may do demo, but they're not doing anything else till that foundation gets fixed. Like it doesn't.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I'm like, yeah, it's there's a process involved here, and sometimes it's just the process.
Well, I remember so can we work with you we'll go with you and pick out the materials? And I'm like, nope.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
We're not doing that.
No.
Well, what do you mean? I'm like, not doing that. That's retail, man. You want the hand holding. I'm not doing that. I got to move. Are you available 7 a.m. on Wednesday morning to buy cabinets? Because if you're not, I'm not doing the deal.
That's when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And by the way, by buy cabinets, it's this one right here or this one.
Right.
That's how it goes. Well, what about the? No, you don't understand. It's
the
this
shaker or the thermofoil? Which one? We got thermofoil. Okay, good.
Yeah, it's no more difficult than that. What's funny is you and I don't do it any different on our personal residence.
No, my God. No. Yeah.
Our personal residents look just like our Airbnbs and Section 8 apartments. I don't think people realize that.
One of the things that I used to sort of knock my father about was, my dad was very handy. He was a roofer framer. My dad was a roofer framer. Could do all the basic stuff, right? But a roofer framer was his world. And I used to knock him for not having this thing done or this thing done or this thing done. And I'm the same way now. Right, I got a hole in my kitchen ceiling because one of the pipes burst.
Oh yeah,
on my galvanized, and I just haven't gotten around to getting Sam over there to take care of it. And it's been sitting there for 6 months, maybe a year now, right?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it this morning. I'm like, you know what? I was sorry, Dad. And I just left the kitchen.
Yeah.
So yeah, for us, we can live with it. Like it's totally, we understand what's going on. For other people that need the stuff right on. Anyway, this is Jason and Robert. We're Mr. Texas Real Estate. This is the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. We're going to get to a few other things tonight. We really appreciate you guys checking us out each and every night. If you want to follow us on YouTube, go to the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. And you can check out our website at mrtxre.com. MR for Mr., TX for Texas, RE for Real Estate, mrtxre.com. We'll be back. Thanks.
Welcome back. Jason Barber, Robert Orfino, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Looking at some deals here. I got caught up.
I got surveys coming back.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be fun. There's a certain company that is now doing a webinar on their process and, quote, the appraisal process. Very interesting because they've had huge problems with appraisals. So in any case, guys, we were talking about, what are you looking for, Rob?
I want to see who that was.
Oh, you know exactly who it is. Certain national lender that we work with.
Oh, yeah. Jeez.
They're having some issues there. But in any case,
So we should just say that non-QM is a mess.
Yeah, even the qualified. Let's talk about. I always like to, when we get on the radio, we talk about QM, non-QM. Let's call it commercial, right?
Yep.
Commercial lending. So the vast majority of you guys out there, when you buy a single-family house, you're doing it with a government-backed Fannie Mae traditional sort of loan,
even
right?
up to 10 of them. Yep.
Even up to 10 of them, right? But when you get into the big boy leagues, you start getting what's called non-qualified mortgages. Those are mortgages that are for commercial lending purposes.
Yes.
So in that case, you're really working with these commercial lending institutions, and they are kind of a mess, and things change day to day. You know, people are like, well, why are the lending standards so inconsistent? I'm like, well, it depends on what they're selling in the secondary market. That's really what it comes down to. So there's some real challenges there in that marketplace. So it's fascinating to watch some of the webinars and stuff that these folks are putting on, because they're like, oh yeah, some of our biggest borrowers are having this problem. It's probably a good idea that we put out a webinar because they're not the only ones that are having this issue. So in any case, long story short, this is the day-to-day drama that takes place in real estate investing, and you can choose to be a part of it or not, right? In our office, and it's happening in offices all across the country, right? But here's the deal. Do you trade these day-to-day machinations for the wealth-building power of real estate? That's really the question you have to ask yourself every day. Is it worth? Is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yep.
You know, it really depends. You know, what's your definition of what is it worth? But it's just part of doing real estate. It's part of the every deal's a little bit different. Everything, you know, it's got a little bit of drama on it. We used to call it hair. This deal's got a little hair on it.
Yep.
Yeah,
sure is. You actually absolutely want to go through it.
Yeah.
It's not clean though, right? So again, for all you engineer types, all your high C's, it's not good for you.
You know, I used to say this is a blue collar sport.
Very good.
This is you know, people think that it's we can put it in a spreadsheet. We can wear a Brooks Brothers shirt and khaki pants and run around and buy real estate via spreadsheet. And I'm like, that's not really how this works. It's really much more of a blue collar activity than you realize, all the way from, you know, dealing with homeowners and investors and all that. I mean, unless you're trading notes at a big level, it's really all kind of the same thing.
Yes. And for folks who are, again, it is super hard right now to start.
Yeah.
I think this is the most challenging time to start.
Yes.
Even though every guru is, first of all, we can break the real estate education world down right now. They're all completely freaked out. Their base has gone away. They are broke, bleeding, and dead.
Yes.
Right? Almost every guy, a lot of them have just disappeared, right?
Yeah, I used to, in fact, let me do this. Let me Google real estate investing and see if anybody's even advertising.
Yeah, not a lot of people are buying that.
It really wasn't. They were, okay, Fundrise is on here. These are lending home, that's it.
Nope.
There's no real estate investing companies.
They are bleeding.
Let me do education. Let me see what comes up. One company. Oh, that's funny. Rice has a little 8-week course. No
I saw
kidding.
That, yeah.
And MIT.
Right? Commercial?
Let me see. It just says real estate investment and development.
Yeah, I think Rice has a commercial program.
Very interesting.
So all those guys out there that used to hammer on your Facebook and on all the feeds and in all the REIT clubs, they're gone.
There's one.
Let me see.
I can tell you who those folks are. There's one.
Yes. We just got a guy out of there.
Oh, did we?
Yeah. So they wanted me to go door knock for pre-foreclosure. That's not what I do. I'm like, you're a professional. Why would you do that?
I've never done that. I'll teach you how to do it.
Yeah.
But and of course somebody will say, well, how can you teach somebody how to do that? I'm like, it's not that hard. Yeah, fascinating. No one's even, very few companies. These Yield Street's a fixed income group, and then this is Rice, and MIT has a program.
No one.
But nobody.
They're all done. Yep.
I wonder if we should start buying AdWords for real estate education.
Nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to.
Okay. You don't want to do that?
No, don't want to do that.
Here's our beginner course.
Nope.
For $9.97.
No.
You too?
Nope.
Gone down that road. It's tough.
Nope.
It's a tough road to hoe. Anyway, so long story short is.
It's enough work just to put the barbecue together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's anyway. So what's amazing is there's no apartment gurus on here that used to real estate investing,
all
education,
gone.
apartments. Let's see who comes up.
So what we're doing is we're just Googling apartment real estate education, apartment gurus, apartment investing.
Dude, there's only 3 ads. CoStar has one of them.
So
Yield Street has the other.
the ads above the fold on your Google search are very expensive. For apartment investing, it might be $150 a click just to click through. Sell your house fast. Oh, hey, how about that? Sell your house fast.
Yeah, those guys should be still running. Home Investors is obviously up
Yeah.
there.
Those are what was Houston? Was $125 a click?
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look.
Get up that high?
Some of the same guys are here. Wow, this is weird. This market's really.
So when we look on Google, we basically want to see, hey, what's the industry doing?
Yeah, if you're selling real estate education, you've got to be online.
Yep.
And you've got to be buying Google AdWords, which are the ads that are at the top of the Google search. There's only 3 here for real estate investing, education, apartments, and one's for CoStar, which is a listing service for apartments. Mm-hmm. And then the other 2 are investment groups, meaning fixed income, but they're not education.
Yep.
So none of the real estate gurus.
Here's why. And you know what? We got a minute left here. It's an emotional sale.
That's right.
And you cannot do emotional sales online.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There's no group. There's no frenzy. You're alone.
There's no cheering. There's no clapping.
Cheering, there's no clapping. There's no. Remember the joke with Tony Robbins, the big strobe lights
yeah,
stuff?
Yeah.
Business.
What was this? A business academy?
Mastery. That was it.
Business mastery
with strobe lights and disco balls, right? Well, there's none of that. There's no emotional charge to get out your credit card, and that's why those guys are diving.
So it was hilarious. Tony Robbins was obviously promoting this business mastery class, and it's all singing and clapping and stuff. And Rob tags me and says, "Jason, was this what your MBA program was like?" And I was like, "No, it was the complete opposite
business
of that."
Mastery. And so what happens is you get people like we're doing now, because we're telling people to think before you write us a check, qualifying people and telling them not to come in, right? This guy, hey, what if I only have $30,000? Then you don't spend the money.
Yeah, let's see if we can get you some more cash.
Go get a little more cash, right?
Another 10 grand. You might be ready in another 6 or 8 months, right?
Absolutely, yep.
Put some of that junk in your garage on eBay. You'd be amazed how much like 10 grand around the house, right?
Sell the jet ski.
Get some overtime, do something. Let's see if we can get another 10 grand in our pocket. $40,000 we can do something with.
So that's really interesting. We're seeing those gurus just sort of failing. Hey, anyway, this is Robert and Jason with Mr. Texas Real Estate. If you guys want to get a hold of us, the best way is to text us. And you can text us at 281-401-9008, 281-401-9008. We'll be back.
Welcome back. Jason Bible, Robert Orfino. We're talking a little real estate today. It looks like the real estate gurus are no longer... this is interesting. I'm just looking through our emails now.
Yeah, no, they disappeared. So that market disappears, and again, we're doing okay. We're getting 2-3 people a month. It's fine. Mm-hmm. It's a big ticket, so we wouldn't expect much more than that, because we make them take time to think. Right. We make them have a phone call and just say, so I'll follow up with you in 3 days. It's usually it.
Let's go back and talk about the commitment issue. One of the things we do is when someone comes to us and says, "Want to join your mastermind?" First question we have a couple of questions, but one of the questions that's very important to us is, "Hey, your spouse knows you're here, right?"
Yep.
And so we grab the spouse and we interview them both, and the spouse is like, "Okay, well, I'm cool with this."
Yep.
But I know from the past, it's like, wait a minute, this crazy guy's done this before, and it's never really worked out. So we have a long conversation with both partners in the house to say, is this something that's really good for you guys or not?
Sure.
So in some cases, you can have all the money and credit and time and all that, but just based off the interrelationships, interrelational dynamics there, you probably don't want to start a business.
So we're seeing good results on that. And we're still buying. We're going to talk about the reports.
Yes.
We got cut off. So we're going to to do something a little bit different here. Let's see how that works out. So if you guys want to check out our Patreon account, that'd be awesome. You can go to patreon.com/MRTXRE. And what we're going to start doing is instead of doing our market updates on Fridays like we used to, we're going to make that a Patreon exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be all you, Jason.
I can take care of that.
Yep. Go through the Houston and the Corpus market.
So that's patreon.com. I think you just Google search MRTX. All right, let me pull up the Patreon account. A-Rock, if you want to add that to the chat.
It's there. Yep.
Yeah, Patreon MRTXRE, Mr. Texas Real Estate. $25 a month at the super duper executive level.
Platinum level.
Platinum.
And we have some, Byron's one of our platinum members. Thank you, Byron. We appreciate it. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to start doing those report analysis exclusively for our Patreon members. And we appreciate all of them.
Yep.
That'll be once a month, once the HAR report's released, once the Nueces County reports are released, and we'll also mix in. So we also got some really good data. Someone else sent us a report on Class A apartments.
Mm-hmm.
The whopping 3.2 caps.
You know what was interesting?
Shocking, right?
Let me pull that up. Give me a second to pull this up right here. What was very interesting to me was the cap rates on B and C's. Like, that was real interesting. All right, so let's talk about cap rate and what cap rate is. Cap rate is how you evaluate, and I'll borrow this term from my former partner, Tom. It's how you evaluate dissimilar assets. 5%, 6% cap rate. It's essentially, for lack of a better term, it's a rate of return, all cash, for the value of the asset. That's probably the easiest way to explain it. So
that you
typically,
can compare.
so you can compare.
Yep.
So typically, the higher the cap rate, a better rate of return, but it also takes on more risk. So at least that's what the kind of common knowledge is, if you will, in the real estate space. So if you're comparing a Class A asset, it's a newer construction, 2015, 2016, 2020 build, and it's got a little bit higher rents, a lot more amenities. They're typically going to have a lower cap rate than, say, a Class C asset that's a little bit rougher shape, that needs some deferred maintenance, probably needs a roof and parking lot and all that other stuff. So these cap rates really give you an idea of what the appetite for risk and return is in a marketplace. So, for example, if I'm comparing Houston to Stillwater, Oklahoma, one would assume that the same class assets, let's say Class C assets, the Oklahoma assets would probably have a higher cap rate than the Houston assets would. So this is where real estate investors get tripped up when they say, oh, Jason, I don't want to buy in Dallas anymore. I'm going to buy in Stillwater, Oklahoma, because the cap rates are higher, which gives me a higher rate of return. But then my retort back to that, my reply to that is, well, that's true, but for the fact that it's also got a higher risk. And you've got to calculate that risk in there somewhere. So anyways, this is just again, this is back of the napkin math. Cap rates are not the end all be all, but it's a way to quickly evaluate the price to earnings, if you will, for you stock guys out there, the price to earnings for dissimilar assets. So what's amazing to me, I'm looking at these Class B, C assets. I like how they throw the B in there because I can tell you by year build, these are all Class C, right? Yeah. And they're between 5.00% flat and 5.75.
We are spoiled in this market.
It's pretty wild. It's now in California, that's probably a 3 for Class C.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So of course, keep in mind too, California property tax is a little bit lower, so rents are higher. I mean, this kind of throws all of those regional differences, cash all that into a bucket, and says, all right, this is what our rate of return is based off the price. So it's interesting to me. And then when you scroll up here to Class A, they're between 3 and 5. They actually found one that was a 5 cap. So what does that mean? Again, it's a relative risk. It's what is that rate of return? Historically, we're getting pretty low on cap rates.
Well, I'm gonna I mean, if you haven't figured it out, if you're already following Brian on his emails and you're one of our sophisticated or accredited investors for our crowdfund, some of the stuff we're doing, we will be aligning ourselves more with the market over the coming years here.
Yeah.
Like the deals that we put out first, because they were our first deals, are super lucrative compared to what is happening in that report and what's going on in the marketplace.
Yeah.
So, that's what we were talking about, going back and forth. It's like, well, I normally get this percentage of income. It's like, yeah, we're not playing there anymore.
Yes.
We're not in that stratosphere. We have proven we can do. We make consistent payments, and we turn this stuff around, and we plan on being here. And if you don't believe that we're going to be here for the next 5 to 7 years, then don't invest with us.
Yeah.
And so I think what we're and when I look at like that report, and I look at some of these other guys that are out there doing this, they don't have more doors than we have.
No.
Right? They're smart enough to get paid first.
Yeah, that's how a lot of these syndications work, right?
That's the only difference with these big guys. They're getting paid first. We're getting paid on the back end.
Right.
And we're going to change that.
Well, that's what the industry does, right?
The whole industry gets paid first, right?
Yeah. Which I can understand that there's a lot of due diligence that takes place up front. In fact, it looks like we're going to have a meeting this afternoon on another deal that we're looking at, and we should get an update on that large apartment deal that we're working on. So, in fact, I think that might be him just pulled up in the deal there.
Brought some food.
You're starving,
I'm
huh?
fasting here. Yes.
Rob's about to eat the microphone.
Yeah, this is 19 hours.
Oh, look at that. It's a 1 meal a day thing?
No. It's coming down to 2, though. It's not good, though. Hold on 1 second. Yep. Well, we only got a few minutes here before the break. Hey, guys, this is Robert and Jason with Mr. Texas Real Estate. This is all really interesting stuff. You should be understanding this if you're thinking about getting to real estate. Check out our website, mrtxre.com. Text us if you want to get into Mastermind, 281-401-9008. Go to patreon.com, mrtxre, if you want to start getting these exclusive updates for the market. That's probably the cheapest and easiest way to get a hold of us. Hey, guys, we'll be back. Welcome back. Robert and Jason here. This is Mr. Texas Real Estate. This is the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. So, last segment, Tesla got accepted to the S&P 500.
Yay.
Yeah, well, great for me. I went up 10%.
That's great.
Whew, that's awesome.
The Teslas.
And so, Elon does have COVID. It says he has a mild case of COVID. He's self-quarantined. He's taking Dayquil.
Is that what he said?
Yes, Dayquil.
That's funny.
But I guess I'm wondering if it's only Dayquil, right? For a guy worth $40 billion,
if I were sitting on that board,
I would have every.
I'm like, you think Trump got some stuff?
Right.
We're going to give you some stuff that they have never even heard of before.
Fourth richest man in the world, right?
Yeah, it's you're a little too important to do anything else, right?
So just to sort of Elon recap, boy, there's a lot. So it looks like Tesla is going to exceed their target, their guidance number for the year.
Okay.
The Model Ys are finally being made in China, and they're being exported.
Okay.
Then on top of that, Honda agreed to pay the European greenhouse gas emission penalty.
Honda did, no kidding.
Honda agreed to buy from Tesla.
What did they buy?
Well, there's a tax thing. It's just basically it's a
so
carbon
they're just
tax.
buying the offsetting credits.
Yeah, they're buying the offsetting credits. And now that Elon is going to be pumping out 150,000 vehicles in Europe it's getting better and better.
This is what they call the financialization of environmental stuff. So it's a big deal.
It is. Let's see. Starlink.
Yeah.
The Wi-Fi internet broadband around the world is going into second stage of beta. So they're seeing 100 MPS up and down, which is amazing.
So I was reading a story about a guy who's bought, like I saw the business model.
Yep.
You buy the modem for a couple $100
Yep.
and it's $100 a month or something like that. And I think they're already testing it, which is interesting.
In the northern part of the planet.
Yeah.
So if you're north, so Canadians have been testing it out.
And I want to say that, what do they call the beta program? It's like, well, let's give it a try or something like that. It's so like,
Yeah.
not like, They're not talking it up. They're like, well, let's give it a try and see what happens, right?
But the initial evaluation on that has come in over $100 billion.
Jeez, it's crazy.
So they might spin that off.
Yeah, it
so
makes
we
sense.
can pay for Mars.
Yeah, well, he's got, and 100 billion is not going to be enough to get to Mars.
No, but
it's a
it'll
good down
start.
payment.
Yep. Mhm.
Yeah.
And it won't be 100%. He won't do all that. So anyway, and then SpaceX put the full crew up this weekend.
I saw that.
Very excited, and they rendezvoused with the space station last night around 10 o'clock our time. I saw that this morning. So he's got that going. Haven't heard much about the implant, the brain implant one. I forget the name of that company. But the Boring Company said, there's some sort of quartz around Austin, which is the best type of material to tunnel in.
Yeah, it's mostly limestone up there, and it's probably that basic. I know I can't see
I
your
forget
chat.
the name of it, but he the tweet was want to find out, and so they put basically the hiring link.
Ooh.
So the Boring Company is going to be working in Texas.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, water table's super high in Central Texas,
Yep.
but they've got to maintain a slight vacuum anyway that usually keeps water out of their tunnels. It's super stable up there. It's just it's relatively hard to bore in because it's limestone and everything else. That's interesting. Yeah, I wonder what kind of quartz crystal they've got up there that's it's got them so frothed up about it, if you will.
Well, I think what would happen is you would just drill right, Austin to San Antonio, right?
Yeah, because 35's a mess.
Austin chalk.
Austin chalk.
It's geologically one of the best soils for tunneling. Want to find out? Austin jobs now available. The Boring Company.
That's great. I told you guys if he called, probably not going to see me around here very much.
Well, what they did was, they got off of the high-speed train, and they just moved to Teslas.
Yeah.
Self-driving through the tunnel at 125 miles an hour. So now he's got all that stuff going.
You know what's interesting is I heard him talking about, we've got that magnetic wireless recharging, right? Mm-hmm. And he's talked about it in the cars, and he said, look, we've tested it, but it puts out such a large magnetic field that it's not good for animals and kids and stuff. And he was talking about it on one of these podcasts or on a show or something. They're like, what do you mean? He goes, you don't want your kids or your dog getting around this thing, right? It puts out so much power. But then the thought was, well, if they're running through one of these tunnels, can you charge them at the same time as they're running through it? Like run a giant magnetic strip through there and run enough power to where you're charging and you're going 150, 160 miles an hour through a tunnel. So I'm real interested to see how this turns out. There's no shortage of good ideas over there.
The future's here, man. It's happening. The Model 3 gets a reboot.
Oh.
So the 2021 version will be upgraded.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. The Model Y, they confirm, will have the new battery pack.
Oh, that thing is going to fly with that new battery pack.
Panasonic is using some of the new battery technology and have increased the old batteries by 9%.
That's incredible.
So there's a 9% efficiency gain.
Which they're about to phase out anyway, right?
They'll keep going for the $25,000 car.
Okay, that makes sense.
So the cheap car, and then they'll probably use an iron material for some of the charging out there as well, the Chinese versions. So they're off and running. It looks like Giga Texas has a chance to be operational before Giga Berlin.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because of classic German
German
bureaucracy,
nonsense,
right?
yeah.
But they put the lights up, and there are certain days of the week they're running 24 hours in Austin right now.
Really?
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
To keep the footings going because they want to stay ahead of the winter. Very, very sexy stuff. The pit for the stamping machine it looks amazing. You can see it. It's probably 2 stories below level. They went up on the paint room, so the paint has gone vertical. That's looking really good out in Austin. We still got to get out there at some point. But yeah, it's all happening right there. And if they move the Boring Company to Texas, that'd be really good.
Yeah.
Remember, he has talked still about moving his headquarters to Texas.
Right.
And then I guess they're still talking about the battery factory in Oklahoma.
Okay.
So that would be good for folks in Oklahoma. And then hinting at some sort of either India or Indonesian factory.
Yeah, I could see him doing in India. then where would they do it? There's a lot of questions.
That $25,000 car, all of a sudden that becomes the marketplace, right?
Yeah. I would love to see self-driving in India because it is a mess. It's an absolute mess there.
So if you haven't seen the videos on self-driving, it's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. It's, they're measuring, hey, how long of a trip and how many times did it kick out, right?
Yeah.
And guys are like, hey, man, my daily commute's 23 minutes, no kickouts.
Ah, interesting.
So I'm just basically eating my breakfast while I'm driving, right? Put my makeup on while I'm driving, that type of thing. So all that stuff is really super close. It looks like Texas will have the Tesla insurance available soon. So that's another great one. So your insurance goes down, and we know that problem with insurance and how that craziness works. So, boy, it is looking good.
Yeah, it's looking good for Tesla.
It's really looking good. S&P 500 inclusion, a lot of money coming in. So I'm seeing my stock go up and up and up. I'm very happy about that. I'll be teaching the Tesla investing class.
Which we might be getting pandemic round 2. I'm hearing France isn't going to open until the middle of January.
Yeah, that is that's coming up. Maybe we'll talk about that this week. We should give them do a COVID update.
Do a little COVID update.
With the vaccine.
For all those folks that said that COVID would disappear after the election, told you guys you were absolutely wrong.
Easter.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Hey, that's it. Thanks a lot for listening tonight. We'll be back with a short break and do a little quick outro. Thanks again. Take care.